losses, five-time three-weight division world champion Gervonta.
And once again, referee to give instruction.
Okay, fellas, you both have been given the rules.
Underneath that left hook, what a shot!
Just keeps up tonight because he knows exactly where it's at.
Right through the center.
He's making everything look.
Body show! Second knock.
And he may be spit all
hurt his man. Now he's feeling comfortable with the timing. This comes right back.
of being in the ring right now. This is not a cakewalk for Lamont for him to look good.
Imagine this. The Toyota Center was electric, packed with thousands of fans holding their breath for the fight of the year. The energy was raw, the air thick with anticipation as two of boxing's biggest names prepared to collide. In one corner stood Gervonta, Tank Davis, an unstoppable force with a perfect record, known for knocking out anyone who dared face him. In the other corner was Lamont Roach Jr., the underdog with everything to gain and nothing to lose. For Roach, this wasn't just another fight. It was his chance to rewrite history and shock the world. Davis had earned his reputation as one of the most feared finishers in the sport, a relentless force with knockout power in both hands and a ruthless instinct to close the show the moment his opponent showed the slightest vulnerability. He was known for dismantling fighters with surgical precision, often finishing bouts before his opponents even knew what hit them. Every punch carried the threat of an early ending. Davis thrived on pressure, and tonight, he was determined to prove once again why he was considered boxing royalty. To him, Lamont Roach Jr. was just another hurdle, another name to cross off on his path toward even greater dominance. As Davis made his entrance, the crowd roared, the booming bass of his entrance music vibrating through the arena. His black and gold attire reflected the spotlight, giving him the appearance of a warrior ready for battle. His expression was cold and focused, his eyes scanning the ring like a predator surveying its prey. He moved with the quiet confidence of a man who had been there before, a lion returning to his hunting ground, knowing full well that a single punch could cement his legacy once again. In the opposite corner, Lamont Roach Jr. stood tall, undeterred by the spectacle surrounding him. His eyes remained locked on Davis, his focus unshakable. Roach had been preparing for this moment for years, enduring countless hours of training and sacrifice to earn his shot. He wasn't blinded by Davis's reputation or intimidated by the magnitude of the event. This was his time, and deep down, Roach knew it. His entire career had been leading to this moment, a chance not just to fight a champion but to rewrite his own story. Roach wasn't just here to survive, he was here to take what he believed was his. When the bell rang, Davis wasted no time. He launched into the first round like a storm, his punches snapping through the air with brutal force. He moved with terrifying speed, closing the distance and unloading a barrage of combinations aimed at overwhelming Roach from the start. Davis had a plan: start fast, impose his power, and crush any hopes Roach might have of making it through the early rounds. His punches were sharp and deliberate, each one carrying the weight of his reputation. The crowd watched in awe as Davis unleashed his arsenal, confident they were witnessing yet another dominant performance. But Roach was no stranger to adversity. While Davis pressed forward, Roach remained calm, absorbing the early onslaught while staying on the move. His defense was tight, his footwork steady. He wasn't backing down, but he wasn't recklessly engaging either. He knew that trading punches with Davis early would be a mistake, so he focused on weathering the storm. It wasn't glamorous, but it was smart, a calculated strategy to survive and learn. Davis may have controlled the first two rounds, but Roach was taking mental notes, studying every punch, every feint, every opening. Then, in the third round, the tide began to shift. Roach, having spent the first 6 minutes in survival mode, suddenly came alive. His movements became more fluid, his counters sharper. He began slipping Davis's punches with ease, using angles to create openings and firing back with precision. A jab snapped Davis's head back. A hook landed clean. It wasn't just luck, Roach had figured something out. He was reading Davis's rhythm, disrupting his timing, and finding opportunities that hadn't been there before. The crowd sensed the shift, a hum of anticipation filling the arena. Roach wasn't just hanging on anymore, he was asserting himself. His jab became a weapon, disrupting Davis's attacks and forcing him to reset. His footwork was impeccable, keeping him just out of range of Davis's heavy hands while allowing him to counter with precision. Roach's strategy was becoming clear: frustrate Davis, disrupt his pace, and capitalize on mistakes. By the 5th round, the fight had turned into a high-stakes chess match. Every move was deliberate, every punch thrown with purpose. Davis, known for overwhelming his opponents, found himself in unfamiliar territory. Roach was standing his ground, matching him move for move. The frustration began to show on Davis's face. His punches, once crisp and calculated, grew a touch more reckless. He was swinging harder, trying to break through Roach's defenses, but Roach remained composed. He had weathered the storm and was now controlling the tempo of the fight. With each passing round, Roach's confidence grew. His counters became more frequent and more damaging. He slipped under Davis's hooks, pivoted out of danger, and landed combinations that left the crowd buzzing. Roach wasn't just surviving, he was thriving, turning what many expected to be a one-sided fight into a tactical war. Davis, for the first time in the fight, found himself searching for answers. He had faced tough opponents before, but Roach's adaptability and resilience were something different. Roach wasn't just trying to survive, he was starting to believe he could win. The battle continued, both men refusing to back down. Every punch was a statement, every movement a test of skill and heart. This wasn't just a fight, it was a battle of wills, a contest between power and strategy, between raw force and calculated precision. The tension in the arena was palpable, every second feeling heavier than the last. Fans knew they were witnessing something special, a fight that would be talked about for years to come. And as the rounds rolled on, one thing became clear: this war was far from over. Then came round 9, the moment that changed everything. Up until that point, Davis had been digging deep, trying to reclaim control of the fight. His punches still carried power, but Roach had unraveled his rhythm, staying just a step ahead. You could feel the tension in the air, the sense that something big was about to happen. Roach, sharp and calculating, had been waiting for the perfect opening, and then it happened. Davis leaned in just a fraction too far, and Roach seized the moment with laser precision. His right hook cut through the air like a lightning bolt, landing flush on Davis's jaw. The arena erupted in a collective gasp. For the first time in what felt like forever, the seemingly invincible Davis was shaken. His legs buckled, his eyes glazed over for a split second, and the aura of invincibility surrounding him began to crack. Roach's instincts kicked in immediately. He didn't hesitate. Smelling blood, he charged forward like a predator closing in on its prey. His punches came in rapid succession, each one more vicious than the last. Hooks, uppercuts, jabs, Roach threw everything at Davis, determined to finish what he had started. Davis, a seasoned champion, tried to hold on, his survival instincts kicking in. He circled the ring, raising his guard, but the damage had been done. Roach wasn't letting up. His eyes were locked onto his target, his focus unbreakable. Every punch was calculated, each one designed to break Davis's remaining defenses. The crowd was on its feet, screaming with every blow, sensing that they were witnessing history. Davis fought valiantly to stay on his feet, using every ounce of experience to weather the storm. But it was clear, this was no longer his fight to control. Roach had seized the momentum and wasn't about to give it back. The tide had turned decisively, and now it was Davis who found himself in unfamiliar territory, fighting not to dominate, but to survive. As the final round approached, the intensity reached a fever pitch. Both fighters stood in their corners, drenched in sweat, their chests heaving as they drew in deep breaths. The exhaustion was written all over their faces, but neither man was willing to break. This was more than just a fight now. It was a battle of pride, heart, and legacy. The bell for the final round rang, and the two warriors met in the center of the ring, ready to leave it all on the line. Davis, knowing his undefeated record was hanging by a thread, dug deep, throwing everything he had left. His punches were fast and powerful, driven by desperation and determination. But Roach, now fully in control, matched him blow for blow. His counters were crisp, his footwork flawless. Every exchange felt like a life-or-death struggle. Time seemed to slow down as each second ticked away, each punch carrying the weight of the entire fight. The crowd was in a frenzy, shouting at the top of their lungs. Roach landed a clean left hook, followed by a sharp uppercut that rocked Davis once again. But Davis wouldn't fall. His legs were unsteady, but his heart refused to give in. He kept swinging, even as the seconds slipped away, refusing to go down without a fight. Roach, sensing victory, pushed harder, his punches still sharp despite the exhaustion threatening to consume him. This was pure willpower on display, two fighters refusing to break, no matter what it took. Finally, the bell rang, signaling the end of the war. The arena fell into a stunned silence, the tension so thick it felt like the air had been sucked out of the building. Both fighters stood in the ring, breathing heavily, their faces battered and bruised. For a brief moment, time stood still. Fans leaned forward in their seats, waiting, hearts pounding, for the judge's decision. And the winner by unanimous decision, Lamont Roach Jr. The arena exploded with cheers, the sound almost deafening. Roach raised his arms in triumph, his face a mixture of joy and disbelief. He had done the unthinkable, defeated the undefeated. This wasn't just a victory, it was a statement. It was proof that underdogs can rise, that hard work and belief can shatter even the toughest odds. Emotions overwhelmed Roach as he stood in the center of the ring, soaking in the moment. His voice cracked with emotion as he dedicated the victory to his family, his team, and everyone who had believed in him when few others did. Tears welled up in his eyes as the magnitude of his accomplishment began to sink in. Davis, ever the warrior, walked over and embraced Roach. Gracious in defeat, he nodded with respect and promised the crowd, "I'll be back. Stronger, smarter, you'll see." The crowd applauded, recognizing not just the grit of the winner but the heart of a true champion who had fallen but refused to stay down. This fight wasn't just about titles or records, it was a reminder of what makes boxing so special. In this sport, nothing is guaranteed. Champions can fall, and underdogs can rise to take their place. It's a stage where the brave dare to dream, and sometimes, just sometimes, those dreams come true. For more legendary moments like this one, don't forget to subscribe to Boxing is Here, where every fight is a story of heart, grit, and glory.